Aloha, welcome back to Aina Bear Farm. It's a nice day, but another windy one, so we're gonna try to make sure the sound quality is okay. We'll try to edit it out if the wind gets a little crazy. Bear with us. We are out by our coconuts. These are dwarf Malaysian coconuts that have been in the ground for 2 years. And for most of that time, they've been surrounded by lawn grass, which we mow kind of sporadically. So they are a little bit slow growing, but mainly it's that they put fruit on when they're only about this high, which is great because if you've seen a regular coconut tree up close, they tend to go up 20 to 30 feet, put fruit on way up there. Either have to climb up there and get it or try to knock it down with a bamboo pole or something. These are much easier, more accessible. They're great for cultivating lots of coconuts. We're going to use these mostly for coconut water, which we just really enjoy. And I also just like having coconut palms around. I think they're a beautiful plant. So like I said, they've been surrounded by grass most of the time, and we wanted to open up the grass area around them a little bit, feed them, mulch them, get them a little bit more better taken care of. And so the recipe that I'm using here, this is a recipe you can use for any fruit tree. There's one extra step I threw in here that I use specifically for coconuts, but you can even do that for any tree. So this is a great recipe. You dug out all the grass first with a mattock axe, just get rid of all that and the grass roots. And try to be careful you don't hit the roots of your tree, obviously. And we circle that with some logs from trees that we cut down. If you haven't seen our video, I think that video is called, All the Carbon We'll Ever Need for Our Food Forest. We make a ring around the tree of those logs, and it's partly just a slow, slowly decomposing mulch, but also a way to hold in the rest of the mulch that we put in there. We are on a slope here, so that actually really helps a lot. And also, eventually when these the coconuts drop, they'll drop inside the ring, and we don't have to worry about them rolling down the hill and out into the road or something. So once we have that wooden ring down, we put in a powder fertilizer. This is the one step that I don't use on a lot of our other trees, but it's a great fertilizer. Not a sponsor or anything, but I just think it's a good product. This particular one's fishbone meal with the 412.0 rating, so pretty high in phosphorus, which is really good for coconut or any palm fronds, really. A little bit of nitrogen in there. And I put this in, partly it's fishbone meal, partly because we're at about 1,000 feet here. And so there's a lot of nutrients that coconuts are used to being able to get closer to the ocean that they may not be able to get access to at 1,000 feet of elevation. So I figured fishbone, that would probably have a lot of those trace minerals and elements in there. So we wanted to put that down. We put 2 cups for a tree this size. Put it right down on the soil, watered it in. Then we covered that with horse manure. So we've got horse manure that we collect on the property here from our neighbors' horses when they come out in our pasture. Put down a good amount of that. So that bucket will go on our next tree that I'll show you in a few moments. So layer horse manure, we watered all that in really good with the fertilizer. And then next comes a layer of grass like this. This is guinea grass we cut on our own property. So really trying to use the resources that we have here. And that's mostly to smother weeds, lock in the moisture of that bottom layer. And so that's a good one. Lawn clippings would work for something like that. We use ours mostly brown because we're having a lot of other green stuff in there. The manure is green, powder fertilizer is green. And then the next step, actually it's easier to show you here. This is our Titonia leaf, Mexican sunflower. So great chop and drop plant. If you haven't seen some of our other videos, we talk about this plant all the time because it's so useful. It's a fast grower. And I've heard from many people that the leaves are pound for pound equal to chicken manure in nitrogen. So this is another green source that's underneath there. We got a whole layer of that. And then we cover that with some of the smaller debris that's from the same trees that we cut down These are podocarpus trees. So they're a pine with a needle-like leaf. That'll take a long time to break down. And then some of the bigger sticks on top to just kind of hold everything down. Also to keep the pigs from digging up around here. This area out in the front doesn't have a fence yet, so the pigs still come in here quite often. So the last thing is the other pieces of the Titonia, the Mexican sunflower, the woodier pieces, you cut those and just lay them right on the top. You don't even have to cut them if you want to. You can leave like long stalks on there. That's just to make sure they don't re-root. They'll dry out if you leave them on the top and they won't create new roots. It's not a huge deal if they do create roots. You can always just pull them out, and then you've got a rooted plant. You can plant somewhere else if you need more Titonia. But that's a good tip. If you don't want them to root, just leave them right on the top, and then they'll add that mulch layer to the top. So let's have a look at our next tree that we're working on here. And I'll just take you through step by step all the different layers that we talked about. We'll kind of edit, speed through, so you don't have to watch me do this whole thing. But like I said, the first step is going to be to peel back this grass. So we start by just chopping away. You've seen in our videos before, probably seen us do this in lots of places. It's hard work. You definitely get a workout. A lot of your back muscles. You will sleep well at night. And the other thing that makes me really happy, I guess, when I do it, is that every time I dig up grass, I know that that's a little bit more grass that I don't have to mow. All right, so I'll work on this. We'll bring you back in a few minutes and show you the next step. All right, so we got it all dug out. See our circle around the tree here, no more grass. Like I said, a little bit less grass for me to cut. Never have to cut that again. That's always exciting. Now we're gonna get some logs and make a log circle around that, so I'll be right back with some logs. Alright, so there's our circle. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can kind of notice I start with the uprights at the bottom because of the slope and bigger logs, and then just taper to smaller ones. Again, the key is to hold everything from sliding downhill. So now that we have our outline, we can go ahead and put our fertilizer in. So I'm going to do about 2 cups. This is a half cup that I'm using, so about 2 cups total, or 4 half cups. And you just have to be really careful of the wind. You will probably want to be over there. The wind's going that way. You don't want a face full of this stuff. And you can see what that looks like. It's just ground up fish bone. It smells like seafood. I just sprinkle that in. So if we're doing 4 of these, I'm aiming to spread each half cup for about 1/4 of the circle. Nothing too scientific or perfect. Should make the tree very happy. Might be a little short and have to do 1 more, that's okay. If you do cut into any of the roots a little bit while you're doing this, as long as you don't cut any major roots, the benefits far outweigh the damage. You get the tree nice and fed and mulched and watered. Alright, so we ended up doing 5, that's fine. And I'll get that watered in. I don't have a hose that will reach all the way out here. If I did, I would definitely use it because you really want to water this stuff in good. This spot, I have to be a little careful I don't create too much runoff because of the slope. I don't want it all to just slide right down the hill, you know? So I just kind of gently use a little watering can spout. Spread it out a little bit. This is rainwater from our catchment. You can use rainwater. That is ideal. You don't have like chlorine and stuff from your city water killing all the microbes. Microbes are good. We like microbes, especially because we want them to feed on all this stuff that we're putting in here. You don't want to dump a bunch of water on there right away. It's just going to kill them. It's not going to be the best way to get your ecosystem going underneath this mulch we're about to put down. All right, nice and watered in. Now we'll do more spoop. And we're just gonna scatter a little top layer on top of that. This horse manure has been aged about a month. I have found that when you're putting it on the top of the soil like this, it really does not need to be aged pretty much at all. I usually don't harvest it until it's been sitting out in the field for a couple weeks anyways. So it's never like I'm getting it fresh from the horse's butt or anything. But in this case, it's pretty mild. If you're gonna be tilling it into the soil, I think then you'd want to make sure it's aged at least a month. When you till it in, it's got the potential to really heat up like a fast burning compost inside the soil, and that could burn the roots of your plants. Okay, now we'll put down the grass layer on top of that fertilizer and the manure. This will lock in the moisture, also help to keep weeds down. This is guinea grass that we cut from our pasture. If you're new to our channel, we have about 3 acres of pasture that we're turning into a food forest. And we've got all this guinea grass as a resource back there. We're actually saving some sections of it to continue to use for things just like this. Mulch around our trees, mulch our garden. It can be pretty weedy, but as with most things in permaculture, the problem is the solution, right? If it grows really fast and spreads all over the place, well, that means you also have a resource for a lot of biomass. You just have to figure out a way to use it. It'll give us a nice thick layer. Try to make sure all that ground is covered. Otherwise, the weeds will find a way through. And then, here comes our Titonia. That on top. It's almost like we're building a compost pile with layers of green, nitrogen, layers of brown, the carbon. And that's essentially what this is. Building a compost pile right in place where we want the compost to go. And these leaves, as they break down, they'll weigh everything down. Just start to push it all down into a mat. It'll just be a nice decomposing layer of fertility in there. Just try to spread these out a little more. Not like a particular amount that you really need of that. If that was the only source of fertilizer I had, I'd try to use a lot more than that. So we're going to wrap this up. I'm just going to come back and put those twigs on top of here to kind of hold everything down, keep the pigs from digging around in there too much. Put a few heavier logs on top of that, keep it from blowing away, pig proof, all that stuff. Just let it way down, way down. It might seem like a lot of work. This tree ring though, you only need to do that once in the life of the tree. Like I said in that other video about the carbon, this is all the carbon this tree's ever going to need. In my lifetime anyways. So that's great. I mean, that's done. The rest of this, I don't really need to even think about adding anything to this tree for 6 months, maybe a year. That fertility that I just put in there will break down slowly, but that powder will give it an immediate boost. Then the manure, then the green manure with the Titonia, carbon from the straw, then the carbon from the wood. So it took me about an hour per tree. I got 3 of these up here, 3 hours. So it seems like a lot of work, but fertility, with keeping the weeds down, with locking in the moisture, now I can really not worry about taking care of this plant for quite a while. It should take care of itself for 6 months to a year. We may have to water a little bit if we get some droughty times, but other than that, it should be good to go. So again, you can apply this to any type of fruit tree. You can apply it in any zone, although your resources may be a little bit different. You won't be able to grow Titonia in a colder climate, at least not to the heights that we can here where you can really get it going as a good chop and drop. But it's very widely used in Florida, probably a little bit in the southeast US, maybe even in the Southwest. But there are other things that could take its place. Other things for biomass. Comfrey is a great one. It could be used just like this if you're in a cooler climate. So hope that's helpful to you. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. More videos coming. Hopefully the wind will die down and we'll have some better sound quality on our future videos. But thanks for joining us. Like us, put a comment in the comments section. We'll see you next time back here at Bear Farm. Aloha!